I bet this is a lot cheaper than taking over a civic center, I'll tell you that. So tell us more about the airborne rooms. All right, what I want to show you is the quickest way to convert a large amount of conventional hospital rooms into negative pressure rooms. 20-30 rooms in one day. What good we could do with something like this. So simple. I mean, this plan right here, shoot, we could do this in like a day. Boom, contained, contained, contained. This would be mounted overhead. We're just moving the air from the patient's rooms right on out of the hospital there.
My name is Laurie. I'm a registered nurse since 2010.
Why are negative pressure rooms so critical right now?
Is used to draw the air out of the infected room and keep it from entering the rest of the facility.
Well, in order to properly treat patients with the COVID-19 coronavirus, they must be situated in a room where air is drawn out, so the virus doesn't spread so quickly. So this system that I came up with is kind of copied from what I do for a living every day and a centralized vacuum system. So let me show it to you. So anyway, this mocked up version right here, I want to take this right here. This would be mounted overhead. Is simply 3-inch PVC pipe, and the way I've got it set up is we go into patient room number 1, patient room number 2, patient room number 3, and so on down the line. And then at the very end, this is called an inline fan. And it's just simply sucking air from each of these suction points and dispersing it out. This is a typical floor in a hospital, right? So you got your patient's rooms. All right, you got your nurse's station. All right, so these guys right here, these are my little PVC pipes. Suction point, suction point, suction point, and then right on down the line there's fans, and then just suck that stuff right on out. Ta-da! There's just no way that you can look at this and think this won't help at all. Just no way. So this is not proprietary at all. If you're in Timbuktu, Los Angeles, Sydney, and Australia, you have at it. I hope it helps. I hope it saves a life or two, or 3,000, 4. Anyway, this is free. Implement it. Use it if you need to. I think you need to. If you are a decision maker at a hospital and you would like me to help you with it in the Virginia area, please call me 540-577-2782. Hi, my name is Scott. I've been a radon mitigator in Virginia since 2013.
My name is Laurie. I'm a registered nurse since 2010.
My name is Jack Richmond, and I'm a general contractor, and I've been doing it since 2008.
Registered nurse Laurie happens to be my wife.
Guilty.
And yeah, so I've never interviewed you before. All right, so Laurie, what is your biggest concern with the expectation of so many sick patients?
We're very concerned about having enough personal protective equipment and enough airborne rooms.
Tell us more about the airborne rooms.
They use a negative pressure system to keep air from escaping into the rest of the hospital. And as far as we know, this is a disease that travels by aerosol and droplets, so those are necessary.
Air is being sucked out of the room, pretty much. Yeah?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay, all right.
Most hospitals are ill-equipped with the number of negative pressure rooms needed. So with the lack of negative pressure rooms, it does place staff at a greater risk of contracting COVID-19, and that is something that we're very worried about. So with the lack of negative pressure rooms countrywide, that is something that all healthcare staff is very concerned about, and it makes it more likely that we will get sick. And when the workers on the front lines get sick, we're not sure who will replace us. So this is a major emergency.
Okay, so what we've got there is some rock solid reporting straight from the trenches. I also wanted you to meet Jack because he is a licensed Class A general contractor. He also has a background checked crew. We have partnered together in order to provide a solution for this potential disaster. Okay, so being that this is an airborne virus that hangs out in the air for like a day, we need to suck it out, right? This right here, this would be mounted overhead. And as you can see, it's nice and compact. Going into patient's room number 1, patient's room number 2, etc. We're just moving the air from the patient's rooms right on out of the hospital there. In a few situations when I've installed these radon systems, I've had to add more than one suction point to get the job done. So what I've done is I've converted that thinking into treating each patient's hospital room as a suction point into each patient's room. We could even maybe stub a couple suction points into the hallway as well. That couldn't hurt. It would be suspended from the ceiling just a little bit and come down into the patient's rooms. Kind of like a sprinkler system, overhead pipes. Same thing. And then just daisy chaining it on down. And then you got an outside wall. We've got a fan right there. It's just sucking that mess right out. It's simple, I know. All right, so what I've got here is a mocked up version of that. You can see it's not complicated to do. This is drywall. This is the hole. You know, you can drill it out. It's not a terribly messy process. The pipe is nice and compact as opposed to conventional duct work. All right, so inside the patient's room, we come in. Room number 1, room number 2, just like the diagram. And then this is a radon fan. All right, and then in the patient's rooms, it's stubbed out X amount. At least we get something into the patient's rooms, drawing air out. There's just no way that you can look at this and think, this won't help at all. What good we could do with something like this, so simple. Okay, by coincidence, this is a radon system that I just installed that will help illustrate what you saw in the drawings. So this is 3-inch PVC pipe, and as you can see, it's nice and compact, and not a lot of damage is done to get it in, as opposed to conventional ductwork, which is 8, 10, 12 inches in diameter, and would take a lot more doing to get installed right there. And we're moving a lot of air. So radon systems are designed to pull air from underneath the slabs of your basement floors. This is a split level home, so we're pulling under that slab as well. But as you can see, nice and compact. So in the end, it won't take up a bunch of room, and someday when this mess is over, it can easily be removed. All the holes that will need to be made to accommodate this can easily be repaired. Okay, so that's a conventional radon fan, which is called an inline fan. So there is a propeller or impeller, if you want to really split hairs about it, situated inside the fan. It's just sucking from one direction and pushing out the other. So we just position it about like so and suck that mess right out of your hospitals. I fully realize that what I've designed for you is a centralized vacuum system. Not to sound smart at all. If you have a better idea or strategy in place, I am so sorry to have wasted your time. But if you haven't, then there's no doubt that this is practical and will do some good. Obviously, this is not proprietary at all, and you have the wherewithal to implement this. You have my blessing. I hope it does some good. However, if you are situated somewhere around Virginia, please give us a call. We'll come running. Well, I for one think that this is a pretty good idea. If the powers that be decide the best solution is to take over a civic center or a coliseum and basically set out thousands of cots, you're trying to really make a second hospital. Well, you've already got a hospital with all the stuff you need, all the staff you need. It seems like it makes more sense to me than to convert the rooms into the way they need to be to treat the patients, rather than cram them in an open space and hope the strongest survive and walk out in a few weeks. I bet this is a lot cheaper than taking over a civic center, I'll tell you that. I mean, so taking over civic centers, that's happening as I'm making this video. But you can do this too. We don't have to choose one or the other, A or B. You know, like civic centers and stuff like that. I don't want to presume that those are bad ideas, but I know that this makes sense. We could implement this as well. But what about liability and code and OSHA and all this other, you know, hair-splitting stuff? And this is an emergency construction procedure. Does a police officer stop a speeding ambulance or assist a speeding ambulance? Okay, so I would consider anybody that would be doing this, whether it's me and my folks or somebody else that wants to implement this, basically an emergency responder. Some things are going to need to be overlooked for efficiency to get this thing going and immediately create negative pressure rooms quickly. Boom, contain, 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 and ratchet this thing down is the way I see it. as opposed to sticking 1,000 people in one place, and really it's a gigantic quarantine. Anybody can see that, and that's really going to get people down, and it's going to take the fight out of them. Okay, I've said my piece. Good luck to everybody out there. I sincerely hope this helped. Use your imagination. What good we could do with something like this. So simple.